What would make a 19-year-old spend nearly his last $600 on sneakers? And how did that same guy end up teaching financial literacy, investing in real estate, and building a business that changed his life? In this episode of the podcast, Cal Quigley IV sits down with Mycah Autry, two entrepreneurs who keep it all the way real about money, mindset, and the hard lessons that shape them. From cash under the mattress to index funds and six-figure wins, we're unpacking the financial truths most people learn too late. If you're ready to shift your money habits and start building real wealth, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
So one of the things that intrigues me about you, you're 31 years old right now, right?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Happy late birthday. So listen, how in the heck have you never worked a job except for the 3 months that you did?
Yeah, so I got one job when I was 19 years old for 3 months. Everything else has been through entrepreneurial endeavors. And I think my biggest takeaway or actionable insight is learning to eat what you kill. You got to be able to go out there and find ways to make money. I tell people all the time, you don't have a business if you don't have someone to give you money in exchange for what you've made or the service you provide. Everything else is philanthropy or a hobby, right? Until you get somebody to pay you for what you do or the service you provide, you don't have a business. So that's what I focus on. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have a business name. I didn't have an LLC. I went out there and I was like, I make videos for a living. Give me money to make the videos.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I've been able to.
So people were paying you cash, or like how were you getting paid at that time?
At that time, a lot of it was just cash or a check going straight into my personal account. That was back in like 2012, 2013, 2015. We got legal, right? We got the LLC, business bank account, EINs, and all that good stuff. So that's important, but I already had proof of concept. I knew I could make money and sustain myself before I ever went out there and started to invest in becoming an actual business.
How many times did you bump your head during that process, though, like very early on? And what were some of those things that you came up against?
You know what's interesting about that? I think I bump my head more now than I did back then.
Okay.
Because back then it was you were learning, but it wasn't intentional learning, right? I feel like I was just naive. I'm going out there. I'll do a video. I like this. It was a lot of just experiential knowledge. Now I'm actively seeking to learn. Like, hey, I want to try this marketing strategy with Facebook ads. I want to try this with Google ads. And you're just bumping your head, but it's intentional. You're accelerating your learning now, right, through intentionality, and because you're accelerating your learning now, you're bumping your heads. But I think the biggest lesson I learned back then was about people. You know, who you work with, who you hire, and who you partner with.
Most important thing.
Most important thing. Alex Hormozi, he's a big-time entrepreneur. I'm not sure you're familiar with him, but Alex Hormozi is smarter and richer than I am. But I'm just going to curate from him for a second. He talks about don't partner with someone in business if they don't have a different amount of time than you do. So if you're super busy and they're super free, that's a good reason to partner.
Okay.
They have to have a different specific knowledge than you do. If you guys are both videographers, right, and what are y'all partnering for? Or they have to have a difference in money than you do.
Okay.
Right? So maybe y'all are both videographers, but this person net worth is 3 times yours, then it makes sense.
Right.
But if y'all got the same relative amount of time, the same skills, and the same amount of money, what are you necessarily partnering for?
So on this podcast, we like to talk about the journey of people, right? So we're looking at your journey financially, all of those kind of things. What would you say is something that in retrospect you wish you would have known because it cost you a ton of money?
I'll take it simple. Be a producer as opposed to a consumer. Right. I personally didn't know the word equity until I was 19 years old. I was already in college before I knew the word equity. Growing up, we didn't own anything. When I say we didn't own anything, the house that we drove, the house that we lived in, the cars we drove.
Y'all living in a mobile home or something?
Right? We were living in, it could be no shade to the mobile homes, but the apartments we lived in, the houses that we rented, the cars that we drove, the couches that we sat on, the TVs, Rent-A-Center, all that stuff. You talking about, 50% interest on that stuff.
Real.
We didn't own anything. And so if I could go back in time and redo something over, when I'm in college, I got $600 in my bank account. I'm spending $500 on sneakers. I'm not joking. I remember 2013 All-Star Weekend, bought 2 pair of shoes for $475. I literally had less than $600 in my account when I did that. Right, because you were just a consumer. Yeah. That's all you knew. That's all you knew. And I didn't buy my first stock until a year after I graduated from college.
What was the first stock, by the way?
IBM.
Okay.
IBM and Intel were the first two stocks I bought. I met some guys, they looked like me, but they had a lot more money than I did, and they worked at IBM, and they said, we buy IBM stock? And I was like, cool, I'm going to go buy some IBM stock. and so I bought some IBM stock. Intel did me well, and then I learned about index funds, mutual funds, and started to diversify a little bit better. But that wasn't until I was 22 years old, right? If I would have known that at 18, 19, 17, whatever, you'll be way ahead of the game.
Yeah, some young people think that they've already missed their opportunity to invest. I'm thinking about my young guy, King Holloway, that I work with. He's 17 right now. Yeah. And every time I talk to him, he's like, man, I feel like I'm so far behind. I'm like, bro, trust me, you are not, right? You're good. You're good.
It's fact. So my intern, but my new guy that I brought on, he got like 20 grand of XRP.
Okay.
And he's 19.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I wish I didn't have 20 grand of anything at 19. So, they winning. They winning.
Yeah, they doing all right. So when did you first realize like the importance of financial literacy? Was it during that time, or was it a little later in life when you got married? Or
It was a little later in my entrepreneurial journey. So I started doing freelance videography when I was in high school. So I'm 17, 18 years old. Then I started the company around 21, 22. And when I started the company, my clients started to get a little different. I started working with lawyers. I started working with doctors. I started working with engineers. And I noticed that these people live differently. It was literally seeing the other side of the fence, right? I'm from Houston, and so the best houses that I knew of was in Harlem Clark. You know anything about Houston? If the best houses you didn't see in Harlem Clark, you didn't see no houses. You know what I mean? And
shout out to Harlem Clark.
Shout out to Harlem Clark. No shade. I don't want no problems. No smoke. But yeah, that was the best house I had seen.
Yeah.
So when I'm walking into a $1 million house for the first time at 22, 23 years old, when I'm meeting my first black male physician at 22, 23 years old, he telling me he making $300 an hour at the ER, I'm like,
yeah,
it's
what
different.
What am
I doing? I got to do something different. And that's when I started to learn the concept of not just making money, but the concept of wealth. And they start talking about investing. And I think that's when I'm like, okay, financial literacy, I need to pay attention to this. Because I'll give you this little anecdote. I was 25 years old. My goal for my birthday that year was to buy a Rolex and a Range Rover.
Okay.
At 25. And I'm making like right at six figures, right, in my business. But man, that would have been some of the dumbest decisions of my life. Yeah. But I met those people and I seen how they moved, and I was like, I can wait on that. Still don't have a Rolex. This fossil will work for now.
It'll work for now.
It'll work for now.
We're gonna get you there, though. So let me ask you this: like, how did you celebrate that first big win? Because when I coach people and when they're part of our membership, one of the things I always tell people, take some cream off the top, go pay something off, go do this. But I want people to understand, like, celebrate your wins, because, who knows? You might not be on this earth again. But celebrate that win in a big way. So what did you do?
Yeah, I'm a sneaker guy. So the first...
I see. You fresh today.
The first big win that I can think of was my first $5,000 video deal. So I signed a contract for $10,000 to do a video, and I thought that was like the most money I'd ever seen. And I went out there and bought some LeBrons with that money. So that was the first win that I saw. Now, if I even like BBAI, like we hit on, I'm like, okay, we got these wins. I just put it back into something else. That's the win now. It's how much can I reinvest back? We just got a nice school.
That's a more mature pupil right there.
Yeah. It's like how much more can I reinvest? I think the biggest, cream off the top, there was a book that I was reading called Set for Life by Scott Trench. He is the founder of Bigger Pockets podcast, where they talk about real estate investing and things like that. And so in this book, it teaches you how to save your first $50,000.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to save this first $50,000. And I was back in like 2018, 2019. And I'm like, cool, I got $50,000. I do want to make a purchase with it. And I went and bought my mom a car for Mother's Day.
Nice.
So that was probably the only...
So you the favorite?
I was already the favorite. I'm the baby, so they always say I'm spoiled.
But
okay,
you was already
I was already.
Yeah.
But no, went and bought our car in 2019, skimmed a little off the top, because I was investing that money and doing this, doing that, getting some real estate. So that was nice.
I'm big on affirmations. I have 10 affirmations that I say 7 times every day.
Yep.
So like for you, what is one habit that you do literally every day, every week that makes you successful?
I'll give you. Can I give you more than one?
Absolutely.
So
Give the folks.
I got a couple of them. I'm gonna quote Alex Hormozy again. I seen the video back. in 2022, it was right around Thanksgiving time, 2022, and he said, what is the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? Mm-hmm. What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
First thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I say a quick prayer, and then I open up my brokerage account.
And that's what I'm getting to. So he said,
because I'm like, Lord, please let it hit today.
the first thing that he said he does when he wakes up in the morning is he check his financial accounts, right? Brokerage accounts, bank accounts, credit score. And so he talked about just simply bringing awareness to a situation will allow you to get better at it. Even if you just bring awareness to it every day and don't do anything intentional, just the awareness will allow you to get better. And so that was probably the number one thing. Every single morning I wake up, check the brokerage account, checking the bank accounts, all of them, right? Checking the credit score every single morning. So that was number one. Number two, I did it this morning, writing my goals down, right? Every single day I got to go a brown book. I probably got about 6 or 7 of them because I've been doing it for so many years. Every single morning, hey, I want, $2.5 million in assets that produce 10% APY, that type of thing.
Now, is it the same goals every day or it's a different goal quarterly? Like, how do you...
Same goals every day because they're pretty big. Now, some of them you'll check off, right?
Right,
so
right.
the day after I bought my mom a car, it was on to something else.
Yeah.
That one got
Boom.
checked off, and it may be, I'm gonna be a little funny. It may be, this month I'm feeling like I want the Audi. That month I feel like I want the Porsche, right? Or the Mercedes, right? So it may change like that, but for the most part, it's the same goals, and it's very specific, very specific about the goals, and it's very I will have this. I will have this. Not I think or maybe. It's
the universe doesn't accept that.
Affirmations, right? I will. And then the last thing is side of my head, I always have this phrase to myself. Positive thoughts. I had a presentation yesterday.
Okay.
You're in front of a room with all these people, and you may stumble, right? Or you may not get the audience response you want. And then those negative thoughts start coming in your head. I tell myself, positive thoughts. You start seeing this market go down 10%. You like, I should be buying more. Positive thoughts. So I just tell that to myself all the time, and it helps.
Yeah, I tell all of my mentees, find some affirmations that you can say because there's so much negativity out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And most people are looking at their phones all day, so it's negative. So those affirmations allow you to give yourself some internal combustion, some juice to get through the day because it's so negative out there.
I would ask you, what would be like your top 2 affirmations?
So I have 10, and I would say out of those, I would say I am brilliant, I am bright, I am a radiant being of light, I'm a outstanding peak performer, I am a dynamic life transformer. I like that one. And then the greater my success, the greater my ability to help others. I would say those are probably my favorite because I'm normally going to TCU, so I'm pouring into young people. I'm always mentoring somebody. I'm teaching on Tuesdays and Thursdays with QP, so I'm always thinking about how can I take what I am good at, what God has gifted me with, and pour it into other people. So, those definitely be my 2. So what's one thing you believe that everyone should do with their money? Because you're at a level now where you started out here, you were super broke, and then now you're at a position where you and your wife are doing really well. You're helping other people. You're building a conglomerate. So, like, what would be your advice to people?
I like to do advices in 3s. Number 1, taxes. If there's one thing in terms of money in business that I did absolutely wrong that I'm still paying the consequences for, it was taxes. And it was not malicious intention or nefarious intentions by myself. It was not knowing what you didn't know. Right. Like literally just being completely green and wet behind the ears and being young and didn't know what you didn't know. Yeah. So understanding taxes, I had a presentation at UNT to a group of young black male college students. And I was like, what do you think my biggest bill is? Or what do you think the biggest bill of most Americans is every single month? Oh, the light bill, the water bill. No, the money that never gets in your account. That's the biggest bill. And you never even see it.
You never even see it.
Yeah. And for us entrepreneurs, I see it because I got to write the check every quarter. Right. And I feel it. I see it. I feel it. I wipe my tears with all of it. All of it. Or you're paying someone to help you not pay it. Right?
Even more expensive.
All right, even more expensive. But anyway, so taxes, number 1. The second thing is living below your means. I don't want to get too in the weeds here, but whether it's filling a void or us as a Black community not feeling good enough. Like, we have tried to, in my opinion, mask, cover up some of those insecurities that we may have with buying things. And
that's just it's strange, right?
Never been
a very, very strange thing.
I don't think it's strange. I think it's easy, and it's instant gratification.
Yeah,
it's instant gratification. Yeah. Investing, even learning in this game of options that we're learning now through QP and trading. I just started the course in October. Yeah, we're now in March. I'm still paying tuition. That's all you're doing. You talk to, because I haven't talked to some of these good traders, but I've listened to their stories, and they're not profitable for a year, for 2 years, and you're just learning. But that's delayed gratification. Yeah. Right. And so unless you can get excited about the small wins, unless you can really, have those blinders on and see the light at the end of the tunnel, going out there and spending money and get the instant gratification, I think that's where, my shortcomings were, at least. So the first thing, taxes. The second thing is living below your means, which is even tougher for me the more money I make, right? Because I'm like,
I deserve it. I should be able to. It's
hard to be like, I'm still drive this car, I'm still live in this house, I'm still wear these shoes, when I'm like, I can physically afford it, but I got a bigger picture, I got a bigger goal, right? So living below the means, and then investing, making the money work for you. I believed growing up, even just, 7 or 8 years ago, that I could save my way to wealth, right? I thought I could just work really hard, put in all these hours.
Not at 0.001.
Not at 0.001 in that savings account. But I really thought I could, or having the money under your bed, you know what I mean? I really thought I could save my way to wealth. But I realized, hey, you got to invest it, right? You got to allow your money to work for you, whether that's real estate, whether that's equities or trade, whatever your plan of action is. But you got to do something to help your money work for you. So that's probably my biggest story.
When you said that, it made me think visually about my mother used to literally put her money under the bed. And it wasn't until I became a financial strategist that I understood that she was actually killing her money. So whenever you put your money under your bed, it's not gaining any interest, right? It's actually losing power because inflation continues to go up. And so most people in our community don't even think that far. They're just like, I want to make sure that this money doesn't get, stolen or taken or whatever. I had a client that had $20,000 in her house, and the house caught on fire. And so she called me and she was like, so listen, I got insurance, so should I put the $20,000 on there? I said, you can, but they're not going to give you the money back. Why? I said, can you prove you had 20 grand under your bed? Well, no, because it was cash. And it's burned up. So don't worry about that. Just keep pushing. Put your money in your brokerage account going forward. And, she kind of learned from there.
Yeah. I would ask you, what's your thoughts on, because I have a specific story on why I didn't have 20 grand in my house, but I definitely had 10 to 15 grand in my house at one point in time, just sitting in cash. And
you was a D-boy in Houston or what?
Man, no D-boy. No D-boy. No, not at all. Not at all. We can't have the IRS today. You talking about, you can't have both. You got to pick a struggle. All of it's clean money. You got to pick a struggle. But I would ask you, what's the psychology behind it, in your opinion? Because I know where my story stems from and why I wanted to have cash and why I still got $300 or $400 in my wallet at any time. But what would be your thoughts on the psychology?
I'm from around the way, and so back in the day, cash was king. So you could get things done if you had cash in your pocket. To this day, don't try and rob me now, because I still carry that heater. But I normally keep a little cash on me just in case I need to make something happen or, bless somebody or something like that, right? And so it was just natural for me to always have some cash. Now, I never was, because I was in the military, I'm moving around, they could call you and say, hey, you got to go deploy to, Bahrain tonight. So I wouldn't have large sums of money. One, because I was broke, but two, because I didn't want to leave it for somebody else to have to, worry about. And so that was really why I did it.
Yeah, because I know I'm maybe third or fourth grade. I'm the youngest, right? So my sister is 11 years older than me, so she's kind of like pseudo second mom, if you will, or pseudo third mom. I get grandma second, right? Got the mom, got the grandma, got the sister, right? I remember we behind on car notes and all that stuff, right? And my sister's car got repossessed. I remember the repossession man telling her like, "Hey, I put your car down. You got like $300 in cash right now, right?" But nobody had it.
Nobody had it.
Mama didn't have it. Grandma didn't have it. Sister didn't have it. And so most people start with a savings fund, like a rainy day fund.
Yeah.
I remember being in college, being behind on my car note, and I'm like, I got a tow truck fund. And that's how I started to save money.
Wow.
My first $300 I saved was literally in case somebody tried to tow my car away. And that's how my savings journey started.
That's great, funny, and sad, like all at the same time.
All at the same time. It's all good. We can just laugh about it. You know, that PTSD trauma got my money saved. But here, this how I started to stack that money. I was doing weddings and filming and music videos, so people would give me $100 bills or a tip.
Oh, nice.
And so I was like, I will never spend a $100 bill. So that $300 in tow truck money turned to $500, turned to $1,000, turned to $2,500. At that time, you had to have a minimum deposit of $2,500 to go into a blue chip mutual fund with Fidelity. That was the first time I invested in a mutual fund, was from this tow truck money that I was saving at the house. And so my literal I want to have cash was like two things. The second one's funnier than the first one. But the first one is more sad. Like, it was the tow truck money. I don't want my car to get towed. The second one, I used to tell people, not anymore. I put it in the brokerage account, get the 4.5%. But it was like my Mexico money.
Yeah.
Right? If stuff hit the fan, you just have to, get out. Cash is king, right? But now you're talking about like Doughboy stuff, you're talking about IRS, now I'm talking about Mexico money. This is all bad real quick.
They gonna cut us off in the first season, man. Thanks a lot.
Let's get back to the notes.
So I know you don't have kids now, but like your community, the community of people.
Yeah.
What are some of the financial advice that you give them, and what are some of the pitfalls you're kind of seeing from young people nowadays that you mentor?
Pitfall that I'm seeing, I actually see more upside with the young people.
I agree.
Today, because just like YouTube, the YouTube University is crazy.
Yeah.
When we first got on YouTube, when I say we, like I got on YouTube in like 2009, 2010. I didn't see education as a part of YouTube. I was going on there watching dumb challenge videos and stuff like that. And that stuff still is out there, but I see a lot more young people watching YouTube for constructive content reasons, which I think is real good upside. If I had to think about downside,
I mean, that's cool. I love the upside.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why we do what we do. And, I rock with you because you're a super positive guy.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of us putting good information out there. When I started my first podcast, the reason I started it, I had spoke at an event. This young man walked up to me and he was like, yo, that was dope. How do I get in touch with you? And I was like, oh, I got, here's my email or whatever. Young people, they're not emailing nobody, right?
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, you on IG or you on YouTube? Like, where can I follow you? And at the time, I think I may have posted twice on IG, but I wasn't real big with it. And so I'm like, little dude, man, blah, blah, blah. And he said, listen, it's so much trash out there for us right now. For you to be out there saying these positive things, teaching people about their money, we need this to be out there. Yeah. And it convicted my heart. And that's the only reason, because this isn't necessarily something that I sought out to do, but I saw the need for it. And I said, you know what? Let me put some good vibes out there. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I have so many people that are DM me. You probably had the same thing that I asked you about this. I know I had a guy one time, young kid, he was like 19 or 20 in Florida, Instagram video called me just randomly. And I was like, I'm going to answer. My wife, are you going to answer? And I'm like, yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah. And he's like, hey, man, I see that you talk a lot about finances and cars, right? He was like, I'm upside down in this Mustang. Like, what can I do?
Wow.
Right? And I was like, honestly, I really don't know, but I can find somebody that can help you though. Like, hold on, I'm gonna get you the help you need. Yeah. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and act like I just know the answer. I don't, but I can find somebody, and I was able to, get him with like a mentor that can help him kind of navigate being upside down on this car note, right? With like a 20% interest rate or something crazy you have. But I think the upside is really what I'm looking forward to.
All right. So listen, we're gonna finish up here. I got some rapid fire questions. So I want you to just the first thing, get your mind right. The first thing that comes to mind when you think about this. So what's the first thing that you would buy if your company went public? By the way, that would probably give you about $80 million in one day if your company goes public and does well. So
first thing is Porsche GT3 RS.
Okay. All right. Going for the Porsche. All right. Stocks, real estate, or crypto?
Crypto.
Why?
I think the upside is insane on crypto, and as volatile as I'm gonna say Bitcoin, right? Not just I don't want to go all crypto, but Bitcoin. As volatile as it is, it's becoming more palatable, even in its volatility. Now it's starting to act like what I'm accustomed to seeing, but I still think the upside is tremendous. So,
all right, number one stock you would recommend to a person to buy right now?
I would say any index fund, not necessarily a stock, but any index fund like SPY, ETF. Just you go out there and get exposure to everything.
What's one app you cannot live with in regards to managing your money right now?
Can't live without.
Can't live without
One app. I mean, my brokerage accounts. So Fidelity, Robinhood, Coinbase.
All right, cool. Well, that's all we got, man. I appreciate you coming out, brother. Appreciate the time. Last video where we did together did what, 5.2 million?
I don't even know. I stopped counting, but I still get a lot of followers off of it every day.
All right, so you owe me.
Absolutely, 100%. Hope I said something in there. I got to reciprocate. Got to get the energy back. Absolutely, it was a pleasure, brother.
Absolutely.
All right,
man.
till next time, man.